This week, Steve West travels to Utah to hunt trophy bull elk in the Wasatch Mountain Range during the peak of the rut. Close encounters with big bulls are coming up on another exciting episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures.
I'm Steve West, professional hunting consultant, and these are my adventures.
Steve's Outdoor Adventures is brought to you by Stormcloth 2, Kershaw Knives, Corbon Ammunition, Montana Decoy Company, Global Outdoor Gear, Burris Optics, and the new Eliminator Laser Scope.
Welcome to this week's episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures. Today I'm going to be taking you out to Utah, where I'm going to be hunting on private ranches that are enrolled in the CWMU program. This is a very special program because it allows the landowner or the outfitter managing the lands to hunt during the peak of the rut for elk in September using a rifle. Most of your western states limit hunting in September to archery only. However, in this very unique situation, because of the growing elk populations and the very good private lands, big game land management, the state has placed this responsibility in the hands of the landowners. And we take advantage of that a little bit by going out there during the peak of the rut in late September, where I'm going to be hunting for trophy bulls. Now, Utah has one of the best and fastest growing elk populations and some of the best trophy hunting anywhere in the West. I was really looking forward to this hunt for a long time because I love the Wasatch Mountains of northern Utah. There's a lot of elk there. Our clients have been experiencing some of the best elk hunting anywhere in the West. And it was my turn to get out there and do some of this hunting. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and let the footage speak for itself. But remember this while you're watching this program. This is a hunt that any of you out there can experience on your own. You can give my office a call, book this trip, and go to the exact same ranch that you're about to watch me hunt.
You know, the area that we're hunting in with Steve, it's a CWMU. How they set it up is 10% of our antlered tags go to the general public, in-state residents. So they get a chance to draw one of these limited entry units and have a hunt of a lifetime. And also it works good for the landowners and the outfitters because they get an extended season for the trade-off. And it works well, and you can manage your wildlife much better in one of these programs.
Now, the Wasatch Mountains in Utah are phenomenal elk habitat. The area that we're hunting in has extremely thick oak brush and lots of maple trees, and this makes excellent cover for the elk. Not only is it great cover, but it's also a great food source. Those acorns, they're just a really high protein food source, and it's probably one of the leading reasons why these elk have such big bodies and excellent antlers. Now, I was hunting in late September during the absolute peak of the rut. And at this time of the year, the bulls are bugling and all the elk are herded up in bunches, but it makes for some phenomenal nonstop action.
You know, out here in the West, any big game hunt you do all have their rewards, whether it's a moose hunt, whether it's a mule deer hunt, whether it's an elk hunt. But when you come out in September to see the colors, to hear the bulls bugling, and to experience that whole thing and be a part of it, I mean, that's something that, in my opinion, everybody ought to be able to experience that once in their life. I mean, that really is Western big game hunting.
Steve's hunt for trophy bulls in Utah begins right after the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
A new age of modern scope technology has arrived. Burris Optics presents the Eliminator. The Eliminator incorporates laser range finding technology with automatic bullet drop compensation calibrated to your rifle and bullet combination. Burris Optics, leading the way in modern scope technology. Burris's new Eliminator rifle scope, changing rifle scopes forever. Just range them and eliminate them.
I trust only Corbon, so ask for DPX ammunition at your local sporting goods retailer or check them out on the web at corbon.com. Anyone familiar with elk is aware of their incredible success story. In the 16th century, it was estimated that nearly 10 million elk lived in North America. However, due to unregulated hunting and loss of habitat to growing populations of people, elk numbers dropped to less than 50,000 at the turn of the 20th century. Now, thanks to better wildlife management, state wildlife agencies, volunteers, and conservation groups like the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, it's estimated that there are over 950,000 elk in North America today, and growing. Through transplanting operations, elk are found in many states from coast to coast. However, 90% of the elk live in 9 western states that include Colorado, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Utah, New Mexico, and Arizona, with a tremendous elk population in British Columbia. Colorado alone has close to 300,000 elk in their statewide elk population, making it the state with the most elk and the most elk hunting opportunities. Utah, the state we're hunting in today's show, has one of the fastest growing elk populations. Data shows that only 18,000 elk remained in Utah in 1975. But now, due to the conservation efforts, populations are now estimated at approximately 68,000 animals. Utah is also one of the best states for trophy hunting big bulls, with many of the top bulls submitted to the record books in recent years. Remember, hunters are the only true conservationists, and with our continued efforts, more than 1 million elk will roam North America again. And this has been your Steiner Optics Conservation segment. Now let's get back to the show. No, he ain't the one we turned down. The one we turned down yesterday had a high ride on one side. We've got a 6x6 bull down here in the pocket. I spotted him. Just about, I can't lie, cameraman spotted him. He's down there underneath the tree. He's got to have some cows with him. He's a nice 6x6. See if we can't put a move on him. Get him called in. Yeah, I got a good look at him right now. He come down underneath the tree. See him there moving, coming down in the bottom.
You know, I'd say on an average morning hunt or a one-day hunt, you'll probably see anywhere from 5 to 10 bulls probably. There's a lot of elk on this ranch. They pull into this ranch to rut, and they're there, you know, most of August, all of September, half of October, and then they go down to their winter range.
This wind's kind of predominant that direction. I wonder if we could get in that green pocket right there on the other side of it. You think we'd catch a downdraft from there?
Probably. He's gonna come up the bottom of this draw over here, I'll bet.
He'll keep coming up, you think?
Yeah. We can drop down. This bridge right here is bare on that back side. We can swing around right through the top of it. And we can hang off this side where he can't see us. The wind's gonna go that way.
Yeah, see him in the bottom there?
Yeah. See if we can't get on him.
Be nice. Yeah, you're right. He is. He's going to come right down, come up that bottom. He doesn't look like he's got any cows.
Wouldn't surprise me the cows aren't in the bottom or back on this side.
Might be one below down there. We were heading out to a place where the guides had pre-scouted the elk. They told me that we were going to see them as they left the alfalfa fields, and you know, we were going to go ahead and get above them and hike out onto some fingers and let the elk feed past us as they left the alfalfa fields. They go about a mile up there, and then they would bed down in the oak brush and maples. You know, it was a perfect ambushing plan. Now out here I don't like to bugle, but I'm a huge fan of cow calling, especially for the herd bulls. And the bite and blow calls are my favorite. You can use these calls with the Montana elk decoy, and it becomes a deadly combination for big bulls.
Steve and his guides call a big bull right into the wheelhouse after the break. Don't touch that remote. We'll be right back.
I'm extremely fortunate to live in a state with world-class elk and deer hunting. Each fall, bulls over 350 Boone and Crockett inches and mule deer bucks over 30 inches wide are killed in our state. And every year I hear hunters in my home state of Oregon and other western states complain about the high dollar and very rewarding auction tags that allow the very wealthy winning bidders to hunt trophy elk and deer, sheep and other species all across the West in the prime units without waiting to draw a tag. And everyone says the same thing, that hunting's going to the wealthy and that we need to end the sale of these elite tags. Now, I don't know how it works in other states, but in Oregon, we have a special division of the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife that controls the auction tags called the Access and Habitat Program. And each year they sell a handful of statewide elk and deer tags to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, the average hunter is going to ask me, how does that help me? And here's what I can tell you for a fact, that in the state of Oregon, the funds that are raised through the sale of these auction tags and their their raffle tags pay for primarily two things. First, the program has improved the habitat on over 1 million acres of land in the state of Oregon. And this helps all wildlife, not just elk and deer, but turkeys and pheasants and ducks, which in turn means more elk and deer and other game for all hunters to benefit from. And second, they currently use a large portion of these funds to lease over 4 million acres of private lands in the state of Oregon, which are now in the Welcome to Hunt program that would otherwise be closed to public access. So in Oregon, the hunters with the most money are buying these elite tags, but they're providing more and better hunting opportunities for all of the hunters in our state. If you'd like to learn more about the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife and the Access and Habitat tags in both the raffle and auction sales, go to our show website listed at the end of the program and click on the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife logo. I think you too will be impressed.
I've known Steve for a couple of years now. This is the first time I've been able to get to hunt with him, and we were able to put an elk hunt together and put it on film. And it's just exciting getting to talk to a guy a lot and getting to know him over the phone, then to finally personally meet him and how great of a guy he is, and just hunt this week and see the bulls that we've seen, and it's something I'll remember for a long time.
The guides had told me that they had pre-scouted some herds of elk that had been hitting these alfalfa fields. And then as it got daylight, they would leave the fields and go up to their bedding areas. So we took off in the pre-dawn, probably say 30 minutes before daylight. And we hiked down a ridge and got all set up to intercept them on their way to the bedding areas.
You know, when you're set up like we were on our lookout and you've got 5, 6 different bulls bugling, you know, your adrenaline gets pumping, and you know, you really have to kind of just sit back and relax and make sure that we find the bull that we want.
Finally, there was a bull that popped out kind of off to our left, and he was a pretty good size 6x6. And we got a chance to take a look at him at the same time that we looked at another 6x6 that had made his way up the draw pushing some cows. And they were about 250 yards away, and I'm definitely not afraid to take a 250-yard shot. But I love calling elk, and that's why I was hunting in September. So I didn't take the shot. And I decided to start cow calling just to see how close we could get that bull.
Anytime you're calling bulls in September when they're bugling, you know, you're trying to trick them into coming to you. They think there's a cow that may be in estrus they're coming over to check out. It can go bad. A lot of times they'll loop around behind you, they'll get your wind, they'll blow you out of there. I mean, you can set up 3, 4, 5 different times before that you find that perfect setup and a bull to commit, all the stars align and he comes. But when it does, you know, that just makes it all the sweeter.
Steve's Outdoor Adventures is brought to you by Stormcloth 2, Kershaw Knives, Corbon Ammunition, Montana Decoy Company, Global Outdoor Gear, Burris Optics, and the new Eliminator Laser Scope.
good. Yeah, that's how you call them right to the house right there, man. Woo!
30 yards, maybe.
Maybe.
Even
Even
with a
bow
bow.
shot, man. I felt overgunned.
Oh, you had it all day.
Oh, shoot, man, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
You're gonna love when they just come right to the house.
A 15-minute hunt. What was that?
When you're set up like we were this morning and you have bulls bugling all around you, that's something that not very many people get to experience. They can hunt their whole life, and not very many people can say they've been 20 yards from a bugling 6-point bull. And that really is what elk hunting is in my mind. If you're on the hill, you're amongst them, you're hearing the cows talk, you're hearing the bulls talk, you're able to mess around with the bulls and get them to commit, trick them into coming right to you, which is what we were able to do. I mean, that's something that, no one will ever forget. It's worth every minute. You got on him.
I'll tell you what, you don't get those very often.
No?
Wow, that's what it's all about right there. That's what it's all about. He just started coming, and I figured with the wind in our favor, the sun at our back, and the bull coming on a rope, we might as well let him come all the way into the house. And at 20 yards, I drove that Corbon DPX bullet all the way home. And man, what a great hunt. I mean, just can't say enough good things about this ranch. Lots of elk, and it's just a fantastic hunt. Special thanks go out to the guides in Utah for helping us to make a great television show that we could share with all of you at home. And if you would like to book this hunt for yourself, give our office a call. The toll-free number and website address are on the screen, and I'm personally available to take your calls and answer your questions. In fact, I will personally book your hunt to make sure that you get the best possible hunting experience. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this week's show. But please join us again next week for another exciting episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures.